Hi there, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 3 of the Nova Scotia Kitchens podcast, Sandra's Baked Beans and Barry's Bonus Biscuits. I'm Sherry Graham. On today's show, you get to visit in Sandra and Barry's warm and welcoming off-grid kitchen in the woods with me. Their beautiful home is nestled in the trees, it's almost surrounded by the river, and there's a cozy wood stove in the middle of it all. Their dining room chairs have a great story that you'll hear, and of course you'll hear the bean recipe with pro tips from Sandra. As a bonus, her husband Barry arrived just in time to whip up a batch of his biscuits. And I will tell you now, that Sandra's baked beans were the best I have ever eaten, and I don't say that lightly. I've attended my fair share of community suppers and potlucks, and these beans are perfect. Maple syrup for the sweetener and a bunch of grated ginger makes them full of complex flavor. They're unlike that kind of one-note sweet beans that you might be used to. They are so good. You really, really need to try making this recipe. It's going into my rotation for sure. Sandra and I also chat about some of her work and a book that she released last year. I'll put links in the show notes over at novascotiakitchens.com, so you can go there to find links to connect with Sandra. So welcome to Sandra and Barry's home, and here we go. We start off, as most visits in Nova Scotia Kitchens do, with tea.
Coffee or tea? The water's hot.
Oh, tea. Tea.
And I have all kinds. There's Earl Grey and regular and herb teas and maple tea. And
Something herbal would be lovely.
Yep. And the neat Frenchy cups.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, and I'm going to start these to boil. And there's something that'll be important for the viewer to know.
Okay.
And so at some point,
anything like
in
that.
about 10 minutes,
Yeah.
because I've soaked them overnight, so I'll say that when we start.
Yeah.
And then once they start boiling, then I'll check them in about 10-12 minutes, and then you put one on a fork or a spoon and blow on it, and if the skin bursts, because you don't want them to be so soft that
they're just mush. Yeah.
So that you want to take the crunch out, but be able to get your teeth through.
Yes.
Cold food.
Oh, did it break?
Yep.
Oh.
I haven't broken glass either. My mother always said, one less thing to wash.
Yep.
So that's...
We tend to break a lot of glasses, I think, at our house.
Can't get exercise with these things. One less thing to wash.
So you built this place yourself too. That's amazing. I love watching videos on YouTube of tiny houses and how do they do this and how do they do that, and people who build them themselves and all their different composting toilets and all their different systems and stuff.
Yeah.
I find it totally fascinating. Oh, and the chairs that were recovered. Why does this look so familiar? But it's because you have posted about it. I love that artwork. Oh, I love it.
Those chairs came off the old Blue Nose, the old Blue Nose.
Oh, wow. I've forgotten that.
They used to go to Bar Harbor, and then at some point, they outfitted the boat sometime between the mid-60s and the late 70s. And we bought those chairs. They were great.
Wow, yeah. They're just simple, streamlined, good chairs,
Barry redid the wood part. And that was years and years ago.
Oh, they're lovely.
And we did have them upholstered once, but Katerina Younger did them.
Yes.
I remember that was about 25 years ago. And then we thought, well, it's time to do them again.
Yes.
So we got that material at Gnomes.
Yes. I've had some different things altered and stuff there. Yeah.
Now I don't care about messy canvas, but Barry have a fit if I don't sweep up, because he's the one that keeps the house clean.
Ah.
And of course, I did a bunch of cooking yesterday too.
What were you cooking yesterday?
Well, I had people came in last night for dinner
nice.
For lamb.
Nice.
And we get a lamb from Gary Arnett.
Yes.
And then we had a fellow whose wife has gone away for a couple of months. I'm trying to cook some stuff for him.
Oh, nice. Food is just central to everything.
Oh.
Everybody has to eat. Oh, get my dirty socks out of here.
Now I need glasses so I can read. I mean, I can do this in my sleep, I'm pretty sure, but let's get these out of the way.
Those are the best kind of recipes. I think part of what I love about your kitchen so much, I just clued in, is the absence of upper cabinets.
We couldn't afford it, Sherry. No kidding.
I love it.
We couldn't afford it. We finished, we moved in. It was 3 days before White Wand, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Anyway, and we had the plumbing was done, the painting was done, everything was done.
Yeah.
The sink had been installed, and the stove and the fridge.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, what are we going to do about cupboards? We just can't afford it, so we're not going to do them.
Yeah.
We'll wait a year or two. Well, that was 15 years ago.
Well, it's super trendy now. It's like, it's the big home design
You
thing for the
learn
past several years.
to do what you can do without it. And I think we can do another 15 years without cabinets.
Yes.
I mean, we just fill them, you know.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of beans are you using? Do you use
Soldier beans, and
okay.
And you can use actually the original recipe. And I should explain to people that this is not my recipe. I go to Birchdale every year with a group of paddlers. I've been doing that for over 10 years. And so we have food teams. And one of the women, Donnelly Kane, always on Saturday night has her beans, her maple beans. This is her recipe.
Okay.
Anyway, but I've adjusted it because it called for half brown sugar and half maple syrup. And I use only maple syrup. Mm-hmm. I cut out the brown sugar completely because I felt they were just a little bit too sweet.
Yeah.
I put more ginger. Than what's recommended, and so and it's a recipe that you just can't mess up.
Awesome.
I mean, if you have an extra tablespoon of ginger, that's okay. If you have a little bit less ketchup, a little bit more, it doesn't matter. So I will measure, and I do, but you just can't foul up this recipe. So did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So the question was soldier beans. So yes, I use the soldier beans because I like the color, the whites and the brown. She uses kidney beans.
Okay.
And I was thinking the other day that I may try and mix sometime. Mm-hmm. I think you'd have to boil them separately because they'd all have different times when they'd be ready. But I think I'll try a mix of kidney beans and soldier beans and maybe, what else is there? Watson beans or wall beans or something. And so different colors.
Yeah.
And
I feel like beans are such a great recipe for this because they're so quintessentially Nova Scotian. Like if you go to any potluck or church supper or whatever, somebody's going to have beans.
And they last for a long time in the fridge. You can freeze them. Like, beans are just great. You can eat them hot. You can eat them cold.
Yep.
It's a really versatile recipe. So while that's boiling, let me get some of the ingredients ready. And what if I read the recipe and I'll get that
You could just kind of talk as you do it. So you're cutting up an onion.
So I'm cutting up an onion. I'm glad you know what you're doing. And I'm glad I can remember this is an onion for our readers that don't know. Sandra has a little problem with memory. Not readers, listeners, see?
And readers.
And readers, yeah. Yes, readers and listeners. So just have to get through those little memory glitches here. So, hunk up onion. I know some people cut them quite fine. I just like big hunks of onion in mine.
Yep.
And this is Eamon's double smoked bacon, which I just adore.
Lovely.
It is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And I have made these beans without the bacon because I just didn't have Eamon's bacon.
Yep.
Wasn't the same.
And it wasn't the same.
You have to have Eamon's double smoked bacon. It's just,
And you're
just
cutting
smell
that.
it. Just smell it.
Oh, that smells wonderful. That smells so
one more time.
Isn't that just, that's really nice. It smells like a campfire in like the best way. I think that's why it's so like
comforting.
Like it feels, it feels very,
it feels right.
Yes, it does.
Just feels right.
We're on the same page.
And I'm cutting these. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe the size of a double thick quarter, or
yeah. And kind of.
And again, it can be bigger or smaller. It doesn't matter. Cubes,
large.
Yeah.
Chunks,
so maybe anywhere from a centimeter or two.
Yeah.
We'll call that 2 centimeters by 1.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
So let's see. we're going to have beans. We have maple syrup to put in. Yep, and we have bay leaves ready to go. Ketchup, we do. Please don't buy Heinz. Get something else. Grated ginger. Aha, here. Okay, I'm going to peel these. Now, this is funny. For, I don't know, 40, 50 years, I have always peeled with a knife ginger.
Oh, I use a spoon.
Really?
A spoon edge. It's the way to do it.
Really?
If you take the scoopy edge of a spoon, because I'm sorry, I don't mean to tell you what to do.
No, I love it. Okay.
Because you can get into all of the little, and if you just kind of like, I do it the other, like I pull towards me, and like hold it like a and then you can get around all the little things, but it just goes deep enough to get the
for heaven's sakes! Well, I fought with a knife for years, and then you cut too much
and then
off,
I lost so much precious ginger.
Oh yeah! Oh, this is hilarious!
Isn't that funny? I can't remember where.
For heaven's sakes!
Food
okay. Oh, that and it's so easy. Okay.
Because you can get with a peeler and stuff, you always miss the little grooves where the knobs kind of meet or whatever. So
okay.
I like it, but
I just break that off. I'm going to try to grow ginger this summer.
I have.
Oh.
It worked pretty well.
Ooh, okay.
But I had some turmeric and some ginger, and they grew well. Like they grew lots of foliage and stuff, but I didn't have them under any kind of cover. There weren't any cold frames or anything. Okay. And it got cold before they'd really they
need
a little
heat.
bit bigger, but
they need
they really needed more. So I was like, if I do this again, I'll do it differently. But the foliage is cool. Like it's all kind of spiky and
okay. Well,
so it looks kind of tropical. And
maybe that new planter that Barry built outside, I can put some ginger in there. But probably would need a row cover.
Yeah.
For heat, I would think. And
it was kind of like it just didn't quite get.
Yeah. We tried peanuts one year on the farm. They were hilarious. And they grew.
Yeah.
But they didn't size up because I planted them too late.
Yeah.
And if I planted them earlier with a row cover, with the heat, maybe even some black plastic over it for a few days, it would have made a huge, huge difference. Nice. So, peeling ginger with a spoon. This is hilarious. Who'd have thought?
Now that you've tried, you can choose your preferred method.
Yes. No, this is great.
I also keep my ginger in the freezer.
Yes,
sometimes I don't go through it, and then
and like right now, this is pretty dry ginger. Anyway, but it is what it is. But super fresh ginger, so juicy and crunchy when you can get it. Oh man! All right, so and this is a new grater actually because I couldn't find mine for the longest time, and once we bought this, then I found mine. But
that's always the way.
Perfect. They are ready. So,
and how long have they been boiling-ish?
I'm guessing 15 minutes. Okay. And that was from like normally, I would have a pot of hot water, but I used it for a tea, and for when Sue was here, because I would put hot water over the beans, and then it only takes about 10 minutes.
Right.
So this had to go from cold water to boil. But I'd say boil for no more than 15 minutes.
Okay. Until the skin splits when you blow on it.
Yep. And you have to try one and make sure that it's not, you want the crunch to be gone, but you don't want it soft and mushy. You want to know that it's still not cooked.
Okay.
Because they're going to cook in the oven. But the thing is with beans, which I didn't know until recently, well I guess I did know, that once you add the sugar and put them in the oven, if they're not par-boiled or whatever, you'll have hard beans.
Right.
Like you have to parboil them.
Right. You can't just
even if you
put them in the oven and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I put them in my new pot.
It's beautiful. I love that color.
Isn't it?
It's so pretty.
I will add a little bit of water right now. And I also put boiling water in right here.
Okay.
That way it doesn't take forever to heat up in the oven. So my oven is set at 325.
Okay.
And then once they go in the oven, forget about them for 4 hours. That's it. Maybe open up and stir once or twice. But all right, so I have the beans, a package of beans. And the beans have been parboiled. And now I need glasses. So I'm just going to go through my list here and do one thing at a time.
Yeah,
so,
perfect.
Maple syrup. See, I knew there wouldn't be enough. And I was smart enough to get another bottle.
Ah, good thing.
And I have to tell you, this was on sale for $6.99 instead of $12.99.
Yeah. It's super pricey.
Just great. And quite often we would use, oh my God, John Hood's maple syrup.
Yeah.
And but I didn't have any on hand right now.
Did you ever do syrup when you had the farm?
No.
Did you ever?
Oh no, we did once. One year
did
we
you?
made it. Yes, we tapped trees, did it on our own.
And then decided it wasn't worth it. That was enough.
No.
It's so much work.
Oh my gosh, you have a huge lobster pot full of maple water, you know, and to get that much, I mean, it's lovely syrup, but oh my goodness gracious. All right, so we've done the maple syrup.
And that was 1 cup.
Well, the recipe, I double my recipe, so I use 2 packages of 1 pound beans.
Right.
Okay, or you can make a single batch, and then to the 2 pounds of beans, I would add 1.5 cups of maple syrup, and then I would add 6 bay leaves. So I've got these ready here, and I'm just going to fire them in. Bay leaves. Oops, turn this off. It says 2 to 6 tablespoons of grated ginger, and I always go heavy on it. So I put at least 6 tablespoons. Let me see.
So nice and warming, and just adds such a nice dimension to anything. It's so good.
Just wonderful. Wonderful. I do remember once I probably put maybe 1 cup of ginger, and it was strong. It was, you think, oh, what's all this ginger doing in my beans? You know, it was way, 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 way too much. But so it's easy to get carried away. All right, and then after the ginger is going to be 1 cup of ketchup and a little bit of hot chili sauce. And I tell you, I've had this jar for about 35 years. I love hot. Like Barry and I eat a lot of hot curries and hot chilies, but this is hot like I've never had in my life until I bought that jar 30 or 40 years ago. And like 1/4 teaspoon. Ooh, that's plenty. I have used 1/2 teaspoon. I had once put in a teaspoon and it was inedible.
Really?
Yeah, that is so hot.
I've never seen this.
Yeah, I don't even remember where I got it. It's so old. Yeah.
Saigon hot sauce. Made from the finest sun-dried Vietnamese cayenne chili peppers.
And let's see, I think I'll use a little bit more here. So, actually, I can use these and just cut them up. I hate to waste anything. So, I almost had grated fingers there for a minute, so I thought better to...
Yeah, for that little bit of heat, you could use sriracha or
oh yes,
whatever.
Oh yes, yeah. Chili flakes.
Yeah.
Chili flakes. So I'm guessing, I haven't used dried chili flakes, although the recipe says you can, because I've had that and I just love it. But I'm guessing for 1/4 teaspoon about of that, I probably would use a teaspoon of chili flakes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Gosh, I should have worn an apron. All right, so here goes the ginger in here.
I am delighted. Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Do what you have to do. I'm going to be another 15 minutes here anyway, Barry, but your butter is all soft, ready to make biscuits, and yeah.
This is so much fun. Thank you for humoring me.
All right, so where were we, Sherry? Here we are. We got the ginger. Oh, now the ketchup. Okay. And the recipe for the double batch that I make usually would be 1 cup of ketchup. So anyway, so we've got the ginger, the ketchup, hot chili sauce. And this is all I put of this. I don't know if you got a picture.
I did,
that,
yeah.
Oh my God. Like I said, I've had this jar for, I'm going to say at least 30 years. And this is all I put in. That's about 1/4 teaspoon.
Okay, yep, tiny. And that would be about a teaspoon of chili flakes, you think?
Yes,
If you did just regular dried.
Yeah. So the hot chili is in there. And then, the double smoked bacon, the onion, so that's ready to go. You need a photo of that? Or...
I got that already.
Oh, yes, you did, yeah.
And
Quartered the onions.
Quartered 2 onions.
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
Perfect. So I'll make sure I get the amounts.
Oh, so the bacon is around 6 ounces.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. 6 ounces, more or less, I have in my recipe. Yeah, of double smoked, Eamon's. And I asked for hunks of it instead of sliced.
Right.
Now, it's not the end of the world. One day, Barry came home with sliced double smoked bacon. I just cut it up and fired it in. But if you have those hunks, it's really nice.
Yeah.
You know, the solid part. The onion, salt and pepper. Okay, salt and pepper. Where are you?
Table.
Over here. And I love rock salt, so that's what I put in.
Lovely.
Salt and pepper, and then we're ready to fire it.
It's ready to go in. Oh, it smells so good. I've made beans a few times, but I feel like my recipes were boring. Like, they didn't have ginger, for example. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of ended up, they just taste like sweet beans, and they weren't exciting. But I feel like this one is going to be...
Oh, you will really like these. I'm going to check one more time. 2 pounds of beans. This will give you the total recipe. Okay, Perfect. 2 pounds of beans, a cup and a half of maple syrup, 6 bay leaves, around 6 tablespoons of grated ginger or more. I go heavy. A cup of ketchup, about 1/4 teaspoon of hot chili sauce, and you can use about a teaspoon of the flakes, flake chili. 6 ounces, more or less, double smoked bacon from Eamon's Meat Market downtown. 2 big onions, just hunk them up. Salt and pepper, and then cover with water. So you need enough water for them to cook in, and 325 for 4 hours. I think the recipe says 3, but I use 4 hours.
Perfect.
Ta-da!
Lovely.
And cover. All right, so let's chat about the book.
Yes.
Well, all right. So waking up in my own backyard. It's a travel memoir. And that was based on a project that a colleague and I, her name is Melanie Chambers, and she lives in Toronto. She's about half my age, and just a dear, dear, dear friend. We both met through the Travel Media Association of Canada, through that association. Mainly because we both teach travel writing courses and memoir and whatnot. She teaches at Western, and she does food writing and travel writing at Western. Anyway, and we had never met, but we started exchanging ideas about our workshops and handouts and the kinds of topics that we talked about and blah, blah, blah. So that's how we originally met. We tried to meet each other physically one summer. She was in Newfoundland, Barry and I were there.
Oh.
We were both on press trips, but she was in the north, on the west side, and I can't find my dishcloth anyway. And we were down south in the southern part, and so we just couldn't connect. It just didn't work out. Yeah. You know, 400 miles away. That's not close. Yeah. So anyway, so a couple of years went by, and then one morning, I'm being long-winded here.
No, that's
one morning, I was looking at my feed and different things coming through before I started my day, and I saw her post, her blog, and she had a challenge. Or the headline said, Toronto bound. And I think, Toronto bound, what does she mean? Because she lives in Toronto. How can you be bound for Toronto when you're already there? So anyway, so I read her blog, and basically she said, when we go away, we're different. We're more curious. We take risks. We try things that we haven't tried before, and we're more ourselves. And I thought, that's interesting. You know, I think she's right. So she said, rather than take off this summer, because she usually takes 3 months off and goes somewhere different in the world. She's leaving in a week for Japan for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, she said, I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to get up close and personal with my own backyard, Toronto, because I don't know my own city. I'm a stranger here. So the challenge was, who else wants to join me and really get up close and personal with their own backyard? So Sandra jumps in and says, I do. So that's how this started. And she said, okay, do you have 30 or 31 days that you can devote to doing something every day, go somewhere in your own backyard, blog about it? I said, yep, July. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. So this was in March. She came here in May, and we had 2 or 3 days and mapped out what this July project would be like and what the parameters were. So we decided it'd be 100 kilometers. So for me, that would be down to Shelburne, to Yarmouth, up to Digby. And for her, it was Greater Toronto. We agreed that we would do some things together and compare notes because of her age and our background. I'm, country girl. She's a city girl. Yeah. I'm ancient. She's young. Anyway, so we both wanted to have an experience of doing a food, something different. She wanted to eat something she had never eaten before and learn how to cook it. And I thought, okay, I have friends that are from different ethnic backgrounds. I can ask a couple of them to show me how to do things. And so we agreed on that. And then we both wanted to go in the wild, in the wilderness, in canoe for 1 or 2 days and write about that. We both wanted to go to a tea. So she chose the Royal York in downtown Toronto. I'm not sure if I have the name of the hotel right. Anyway, she paid $85 for her tea. I paid $7.50 and went to Weymouth with a couple of friends, the Weymouth Church tea there, and they have them all summer, once a week. Anyway, and so there's different things that we wanted to do that would be the same, but we would, because we're different backgrounds and whatnot, they would be different experiences. Okay. So then she said, I also want to have an architecture tour of Toronto, and she knew someone that could give her a tour of the city and the history and whatnot. And I said, good, I can do that in Yarmouth. And she said, I want to do a cemetery tour. And so I thought, oh, cemeteries, how boring is that? I said, well, okay, Melanie, all right, I'll do a cemetery tour, okay. And I thought, well, I'll ask someone to take us on a tour of Mountain Cemetery in town. I could not get excited about that. Anyway, so we lined it up and organized it. So she goes back home and we start July 1st, and it is amazing. So every day we do something different in our own backyards and write about it. Take some photographs, share it with friends, put it on our blogs, and we would read each other's and say, oh look, she did. Anyway, and it was so fun. So it came time to do the cemetery tour, and I'm thinking, oh, Melanie, I'm just doing this for you. So Barry and I go in and meet with John Wainwright. He's on the board of directors of Mountain Cemetery. And we met him at 6 o'clock at the chapel, and John said, well, how long do you want this tour to be? And I said, oh, I don't know, maybe an hour. And I'm thinking, oh, an hour, that's going to be plenty long to be looking at tombstones. And Sherry, we came out of there, it was almost dark.
Oh, wow.
The only reason we stopped, and it had been over 2.5 hours, was because of the bugs. Yeah. And it was getting hard to see. It was fascinating. I mean, I just fell in love with cemeteries. Yeah. Like, it was just fascinating. So from then on, I was looking for cemeteries in Yarmouth and Shelburne and Digby, and then I wanted to get information about the headstones and who was carving them and how did that happen. Yeah. And so one thing leads to another, and eventually I meet with Deborah. Oh, I'm Trask. Trask, thank you.
Who happens to be daughter of Gwen Trask, who was my very first episode of the podcast.
No kidding.
Her molasses cookies. Yep.
Oh.
It all comes full circle.
Oh my goodness, I have to go see her again because I visited her about a year ago and had the best tea of my life.
Makes the best tea.
Oh, I said, Gwen, this is just the best tea. So I promised her to go back. So this time I'll ask for her molasses cookies, or maybe make her molasses cookies. Yes. Anyway, so went on this tour with Deborah, and she gave me all kinds of information, which is in the book, about the headstones and different things. So that's how this whole thing came together. And then we'll fast forward a little bit. I know the editor at Pottersfield Press, good friend, and she said, Sandra, she said, I've been following your blog, and I think there's enough information in there that you could turn that into a book. And I'm thinking, a book? Oh, I don't think so, Peggy. She said, no. You pull it all together. I mean, you have to clean it up. You have to tidy it up. It was a blog, so you have to work at it. But the guts is there, whatever, for a book. So I did that, and I pulled all the blogs together and had 35,000 words. I thought, whoa, okay, if I add another 35,000, because I wanted about 70 for a book, and I thought, oh, I can do that, because there's so much information that I have about Southwest Nova Scotia, the history and the culture and the food and the traditions, because I've written about the Tuscan Islands and Pubnico and Clare and different places. So I thought, Sandra, just go and pull out the material you already have in other places, do some research, read some books about the region and culture tradition and put it all together. Just flesh it out and give it some depth. That's it. What it needed was depth. So I did that, and here we go, waking up in your own backyard.
Yay! And it was when did it come out last?
That was a year ago, this spring. So it's been a year.
It was April or May, I couldn't remember.
May. I'm thinking May.
Because I read it over the summer.
Okay.
And I loved it so much.
You.
And I have Post-it notes everywhere for all the places that this summer, I'm like, okay, we're going to go to this place, and we're going to go to that place.
All right, so then the book comes out. And the response, Sherry, has just been fabulous. And yeah, it is travel in the region, but it's more than that.
Yes,
it's people, it's lifestyle, it's culture, it is tradition, it is food, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so because the response has been so positive, and Melanie said, Sandra, let's take this concept of traveling in your own backyard and roll it across the country. So now we have Hearts on Travel, and that's what Hearts on Travel is about. It's a website, and we're just encouraging people to get out in their own backyards. And you define backyard.
Yeah.
You know, that's up to you. It could be a block from your house, or it could be 100 kilometers. It could be in another province. I have a couple of stories on the Hearts on Travel site. One's from Labrador.
Oh,
and
lovely.
It's making sand bread with Elizabeth Panasherway. Oh, my heart. Yeah, and a story of a bear coming around the tent at night. So, but for that week, my backyard was Labrador.
Yeah.
And it was on Grand Lake, you know, so it just, the only condition is it has to be somewhere in Canada. It's a Canadian stories, written by Canadians, 200 words up to 600 words. And so we're pretty excited about it. And if you have a photo or two or three, you can add them. So I'm looking for a story, Sherry, and want a story.
I would love
want
to.
a story.
I'll have to
yes.
project for that.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So that's heartsongtravel.ca.
It is.
I think.
Yep.
So
yep.
yes.
Now the other thing is there's the website. So on the website, in the menu, you'll find all kinds of things, including history and the about and how this came to pass and blah blah blah. And then there's a section where it says submit your story, and we think it's really easy. So if you have a story, 200 to 600 words, a photograph or two, it's easy to upload. Perfect. I mean, it's just you do it in Word or RTF or whatever you want, and then just plunk it in there. And then there's a place to subscribe, so we're asking people to subscribe. Perfect. And then every 2 weeks, we're a little late. We're a lot late right now, but another week. We'll be on stream for every 2 weeks, uploading the news stories that come in.
Perfect.
And then there's a newsletter that we'll have every 2 weeks, and interviewing people across the country about different things and new travel books and stuff. Anyway,
I love it so much.
And the last thing, there's a Facebook page. So and that has different content, and we want people to like the Facebook page.
Perfect. I didn't realize there was a Facebook page.
Yeah. And then there's an Instagram page.
Oh, I've already connected on Instagram.
So Melanie's taking care of Instagram. I'm taking care of Facebook, and I think there's quite a bit of food stories in there.
I'm all about food.
Certainly, when the grandchildren were here, we made roppie pie.
Yes.
So there's actually a roppie pie lesson 101.
Oh, very
How
good.
to make roppie pie. And there, I've babbled enough. That's
lovely.
that.
I love it. Thank you.
So
tell me about this recipe. Is this something that you've been making kind of forever? Where did the recipe come from? I'll take it.
It's not. I have no idea. And I don't think there's anything really all that. I mean, you can see what the ingredients are. They're pretty
just
ordinary.
Basic. Yeah. And I already gushed over your house. I love it. And I'm super curious about your solar panels and all kinds of other things.
It's like belonging to a cult.
I'm one of those people who's super fascinated by it.
Well, we visited a lot of people before we did that. So I always use the recipe. Okay?
Yeah.
Like I don't guess. And it's just my glasses are right here. So so some people, like our grandmothers, whatever, used to just throw stuff together. Well, you can do that too. So a double batch is 4.5 cups of flour. So the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar. So we're doing double.
Perfect.
Okay, so put in 4.
So I'll probably make 24.
Oh, it doesn't work that way. And then 5 teaspoons of baking powder. This has me worried a little. A baking soda, half a teaspoon, so I use 1 teaspoon. It's whatever you have. So this is just the dry ingredients. I just mix them together as well as I can. I can't tell you when it's done. I just do it for a while. Now the buttermilk is a leavening agent. Like I didn't know that. I just knew that I'm going to make regular biscuits with regular milk and a regular recipe. And the biscuits are fine, but these are better. This is better.
Sorry, I get really excited. It's is the acid in the buttermilk that reacts with the baking?
No clue.
I think that's what it is.
I don't know. I don't know why I would make stuff up.
I think that's where the magic happens. But what do you notice that they're like? What's better? Are they fluffier or have more flavor, or what's more the texture?
I don't know, but I don't have a sense of taste much. Really, no, I don't.
Yeah.
So taste, it's texture that. So anyway, so that's probably done. All right. So now, half a cup of butter. So I got to put in a whole cup. Okay, I don't know what you call this, but you've seen one before.
Pastry blender.
Okay.
Yes.
So we use that a little bit.
Do you have a favorite thing to bake? Or is it just a matter of getting it made so you can be fed?
Well, it's just that this got to be a convenient thing, you know, when you're going somewhere for dinner and bring biscuits and people can eat one or eat 10 or whatever. And people like them. Now this is the only trade secret in this, which is not a trade secret.
Sandra did the same thing with the fish.
Is that I do this for a long time.
Okay.
And this makes a difference. And so by the time I finish, you can't tell that there's butter in there. It's just green.
Oh.
It's just green.
So you're not going after little pea-sized things?
No. Oh God, no.
You want it totally uniform.
No.
Okay.
And that seems to make a difference. I think it does anyway. So I just keep doing this for a while. It's not hard work. It's not, it's just what it is. And I just do it till I can't feel the butter.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah, and you brought your butter to room temperature.
Yeah. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because by the time I do this.
Right, it's all going to be.
Yeah, it's easier to work with when it's warmed up a bit, softened up. Okay, so this is 1 cup of buttermilk. So, and what I always do is agitate it a little bit.
And you're just kind of turning end to end for people
listening.
listening.
Well, it's just I've got to hold that. And then we just put 2 in.
That looks lovely. And you just stir that with a spoon, right?
Yeah.
What after you put it in?
Well, it's all, I'm probably less good at this part than anybody else. And the other thing that gets a little random is the thickness of the
biscuits.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, just for people listening, folding it over itself and then
that's
pressing
all.
it down.
Yeah, just and I stop when I get fed up with doing it.
Oh, it looks nice and flaky though, and layery and
it gets a little funny sometimes because of the. Anyway, you'll see. See, this is a funnel for making jams and stuff. Okay, but it makes a good biscuit cutter.
Perfect. I love it. I've seen people use jars and cups and.
Well, you can do like, say if I use something like this.
Yeah.
They'd be bigger.
Yes. Lovely. That's nice too, the funnel, because you can push it right down through. Like sometimes you use a cup or a jar or whatever, they get stuck. And
they get an airlock.
And they get
See,
and there
you
you
can
just
always
use your
use your
thumb, poke
thumb.
it out. Brilliant.
Hardly. This is what was here.
The best.
Well, you see here, this is funny, because see where I folded the dough over. So you get.
And that should give you a nice.
So they kind of fall apart some, but it's not a bad thing. They do hold together, and then I don't worry about little indentations like that.
No. Let's take a picture here.
And see, they are different heights. It all seems to come out in the end.
Yes. So the oven was at 450?
450. And it stays at 450 until I turn it off.
Okay. And how long are they in for?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And then longer. And
okay.
At 10 minutes I have a look at them.
Okay.
and probably change the shelves.
Right.
Well, and the object of the exercise is by the time the biscuits come out, the place is cleaned up.
Ah. Makes sense. Give you a time limit.
Now, somebody filled my sink full of dirty dishes.
It wasn't me.
No.
It's because
So
of
it's
me.
always-
But
So what I do here, this is when I take the thing out, I don't want it to burn this.
right.
This used to be a bowling alley.
Oh, awesome. Love it.
And then a friend of ours made the island. So I can set it on there and then take the biscuits off to put on here.
Gotcha.
And now that we don't have a dog, we don't have to worry about the biscuits.
But protecting them.
Okay,
Oh, that's
so
lovely.
that's our 10 minutes is up. So all I do is take a look.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good.
They do.
These are gonna go up here. These look good.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Now, my mother grew up with a wood stove, coal stove.
Yeah.
And so every time she would pull anything out of the oven, she'd turn it around because the firebox was over here.
Oh, yeah.
And if you didn't do that when you had those stoves, everything was, and for the last 20 years of her life, she had an electric stove, but she still did
You
it.
still did that. I would have it.
Here, come sit over here. I can see the river better.
Oh, well, thank you.
The,
And there you go.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Oh, this is so lovely. I appreciate it so much. And oh, so good. I'm so excited. These are the best beans I've ever had, and I'm not exaggerating.
Whoa!
They're not too sweet, because often they're, like you were saying, with the sugar, they're too sweet, and these have flavor and the ginger, and they're magical. Thank you.
We just
so what do you use, maple syrup?
always.
Thanks so much to Sandra for sharing my new favorite bean recipe with me, to Barry for his biscuits and stories, and to both of them for so kindly welcoming me into their home. Thanks to Julian Smith for the podcast music, and I must also add right here the very warmest congratulations to Julian on the safe arrival of his first child this week. Thanks also go out to my husband Adam Graham for technical help and generally being awesome. And since he just had a birthday, I'll take this chance to say happy birthday, Adam. And of course, thanks to all of you for listening. You can connect with me on Instagram at Nova Scotia Kitchens or on the Facebook page. I'll be back with a new episode in June.